What is up, guys? This is the Dynasty Dudes podcast. It's Bryce and Rob here coming at you.
What's up?
Today, after kind of all the craziness of free agencies kind of ended, I finally woke up to a morning where I didn't have 1,000 Twitter notifications. I don't know if you were in that same boat, but I had them loaded. And then this morning, nothing, at least nothing of any significance. So kind of nice to be over that period.
I could use the break.
Yeah, 100%. So pretty much the next kind of news spot's going to be probably the draft. So, but because of that, I think it's time to do some tier lists. And we're going to start where the obvious place to start, which is at the quarterback position. Now, this tier list specifically is for super flex leagues. This is not for one quarterback leagues. One quarterback leagues, you're always looking for upside. That's the only thing you're looking for. Super flex leagues, looking for a little bit more stability. And so let's get into the tier list and we'll pull it up and go through it.
I think real quick, it's worth saying if you aren't in super flex leagues, you should probably log out now. Like if you're single QB, just unfollow us, move on.
Yeah, I tell you what, people who, if you're starting a dynasty league and you're thinking of doing one quarterback, just please don't. It's so brutal. It's just not the correct way to do dynasty. So I've got mine pulled up, and we'll start. I made this tier list. Rob is kind of reacting to it for the first time. He really hasn't seen it. And so we will start with the S tier, where I don't think there's going to be much disagreement. Are you pulling it up right now, Rob?
I'm looking at it.
Yeah. So in the S tier, we have Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. I would put Patrick Mahomes as the QB1 in Dynasty. And one philosophy that I adhere to that I think Rob and I are going to disagree on, when it's close, give me the pocket passer. Give me the guy who has the longevity. Now, that said, Josh Allen has not battled with injuries, and he's finished as a top 2 quarterback in the last 3 seasons, and the first 2 he was not 2. So tough to complain. Yeah, so tough to argue with it. So any thoughts on Mahomes and Allen?
No, I agree. I think the way I see your kind of top 5 quarterbacks, they are guys that you should not trade for anything short of the world, right? Like if someone offers you 4 first-round picks, you're probably not going to take it because these QBs will provide you with so many points over the next decade that it's not worth moving on.
Yeah, these are I would throw 6. I'm not sure who you're taking out, but I think these top 6 guys, which even the top 7 or 8,
I think I could agree with. I think I could say 5. I think that I could accept the top 5, but I think you're.
We'll discuss it. I think you just might be slow to the party. But anyway, so the first 2, Allen and Mahomes, Allen and Mahomes, with Mahomes being 1 and Allen being 2. I think that's pretty clear. One thing I will say about Josh Allen, I am the way he plays. I am concerned about the injuries. Clearly, he is big enough to have been able to absorb the hits for the last 3 years, but man, it just kind of seems like you're playing with fire a little bit, but maybe that's just me. So now we're going to break down to the next tier, which is the elite category. And here I have Burrow, Lawrence, Jalen Hurts. I agree. I think Jalen Hurts has some regression coming. So,
dude, putting Trevor Lawrence in your B tier or your A tier or whatever, right? And you're having him as your QB4 just shows a blindness to the fact that you own him and he saved your dynasty team. That's what I see. I don't get it. He's a pocket passer. He's shown nothing magical. His future is Kirk Cousins, and that's great, but it's not going to be QB4.
Dude, his future is Andrew Luck if he didn't retire. His future is Peyton Manning. Trevor Lawrence really, and again, I think you're blinded by, 1, by the fact that I own him, or 2, by the fact that you owned him last year. in some sort of league, and it didn't go super well.
I didn't own him anywhere last year.
I thought you said that did you draft him in like redraft or something? I thought you had him in a situation.
Trevor Lawrence. No, I'm trying to think where I might have had him. I might have had him in our what's it called league, the Survivor one for a bit.
That doesn't count. No, I'm talking about 2021 when he was a rookie.
Oh no, I could have traded Trey Lance for him 1-to-1 in 2021. That might be, yeah.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Anyway, I don't think I'm outside the norm here at all.
So here's why I'm not putting him in the top 4. Your top 4 or 5 dynasty QBs need to have rushing upside, and he just doesn't really. He is a pocket passer, and for a pocket passer to be in the top 5, they need to be Tom Brady. They need to be Aaron Rodgers. They need to be the next big passer, and he could be it. But we've had one season of garbage and one season of that was well done. And so none of that makes me think, oh man, he's great. This kid's incredible.
Yeah, except for the prospect profile. He was the second coming of Peyton Manning, and I think we're seeing that's the trajectory he's on. Also, in terms of you look at the 3 guys or the 3 guys that are not named Jalen Hurts in this tier, which are Burrow and Herbert. He has the most rushing upside of the 3 of them. He's the best runner. Burrow is an okay runner at best. He's really not going to score any fantasy points with that. And then Herbert's a pretty good athlete, but Lawrence would be the best athlete of the 3. And so I think Lawrence is pretty firmly in this category. And I think of the 4 guys here, I think he's the guy that might sneak into the next year, depending on how the situation goes. So keep an eye. I do want to touch on Justin Herbert a little bit. He had a kind of a down year. He finishes the quarterback 11 after, there were a lot of people who were really excited about Justin Herbert. There were some people who had him going into the 2022 season as like the QB1 above Mahomes and Allen. I still think he's really good. I think he's been battling a lot of situations. I don't love the Chargers and kind of what they're doing. I'm hoping Kellen Moore can fix them. But I think I have to put Herbert at 6 at this point, just kind of based on some of the concerns I've seen.
I think there's a legitimate conversation for putting Herbert, Lawrence, and Burrow, at least 2 out of the 3, below Lamar Jackson. Because those 3 I don't think are situation proof, and I think Lamar Jackson is. I think no matter the situation, Lamar Jackson's going to run like a madman and score touchdowns with his legs, making him an elite quarterback asset. I know you don't like him, and the contract situation stuff makes you nervous. I legitimately, if Carson was willing to trade Lamar Jackson, I would probably make a move for him. But,
Yeah, so I guess we can go down to the next tier, which is party like it's 2019.
You have one of these guys ranked too low and the other one ranked 3 tiers too high.
No, I think this tier would be Lamar Jackson and Deshaun Watson. Lamar Jackson, we've talked about it. The contract stuff does concern me, but what mostly concerns me, frankly, with Lamar Jackson, is he hasn't been able to stay healthy. He can't finish out seasons. Now, how much of that has to do with the contract situation? How much has to do with we don't know. We also don't really know how Lamar Jackson is going to age. I believe he's going into his age 27 year. This is sort of the best comp we have to Lamar is Michael Vick, even though it's a lazy comp. And there is a drop off, as you get into those late 20s, early 30s. I'm concerned he's not going to age like regular quarterbacks. And so I think at least until he signs some sort of contract and there seems to be some resolution, he has to be a tier lower than the guys in the elite category.
So I would take 5 years of Lamar Jackson being potentially top 3, right? If he's doing his thing, he's top 3. fantasy points wise versus Trevor Lawrence being top 10 for the next 10 years. Just to like, that is the way I see this. I would take the 5 years of elite over 10 years of good.
Okay, let me ask you this question because I'm actually curious. If Lamar once again misses time this next year, do the red flags go up? Of like, dude, that's how many years in a row can this be?
It depends. So, like, I think if he's missing championship week, yeah, there's some red flags there because you cannot win without your, top end assets championship week. But if he misses mid-season time, then I'm not as concerned. Does that make sense? So
Yeah, I mean,
if it's mid-season, everybody misses time in the NFL. Running backs are the most notorious, but it's not that crazy for you to have half your wide receivers miss time as well, or your tight end miss a game. Everybody misses time. It doesn't, anything short of like 3 games doesn't factor into my decision a ton. It's guys that miss half a season where I start to get concerned.
Well, and again, for Lamar, it has been that late season miss.
It has.
He'll have great pre-Thanksgiving. Then he'll start to get hurt. And again, the logic makes sense too. They'll be kind of in the playoff race, and it's like we need to rest him for the playoffs. We need to make sure he's ready, the real playoffs, the NFL playoffs, and they decide that those crucial weeks in fantasy, he's on the bench. And so that is my concern. Before I can move him up again, I need to see another season where he actually plays most, if not all, the games.
I just think it's hard to have an under 30 MVP, right? He's under 30 and he's won MVP ranked below some of these guys. I think that you've got to put some respect on his name and what he's done versus Trevor Lawrence, who just, finally didn't suck. That is a tough pill to swallow for me. Or like Justin Herbert, who's just a walking question mark of like, yeah, we think he's great, but we haven't seen him in a good situation yet necessarily. Like, let's put him in a spot where he has an O-line and his wide receivers aren't all injured.
Yeah. No, I do understand what you're saying, and it's fair. And again, this is where the difference between Superflex and single quarterback comes in. It's like, look, I need to have more assurance out of my quarterbacks. And unfortunately with Lamar, it's a little bit tough. But I want to move to Deshaun Watson really quick.
But it's interesting you say that, but then you have Deshaun Watson ranked next to him. He was suspended for 2 years basically. He hasn't proven relevant since he got back. He looked distracted on the field this year.
Oh, totally. Yeah, totally. No, I anticipated that. I don't own Deshaun Watson, by the way. I did anticipate. I was like, dude, I think coming in, Jacoby Brissett went 4-7 or something ridiculous. Like the team was bad.
Yeah,
it was all. So I really think this is kind of a make or break year for Deshaun Watson. Of hey, can he be? This is why he's in the Party Likes 2019 category. Can he look anything like what he was back in 2019, 2020 before all this allegation stuff? Or has he taken a step back? The other reason with Deshaun Watson is the contract is the contract. Like he is going to be the quarterback in Cleveland for ever.
I just think that legitimately the next 6-7 guys, I might rather own them. Looking I don't know. You've got him ranked above a lot of guys that I would rather have. Like your major red flags, your Roth IRA, even some of your prove it are guys I would rather have over Watson because they feel like legitimate competitors. Whereas Watson, it's like if court cases were fantasy points, then I'm in on Watson. But otherwise, we haven't seen enough in the last 3 years to make me go, oh, heck yeah, I'm trading up for that guy. Plus, you can never shower enough to wash off the fact that you paid up for Watson.
No, totally. No, that does leave a bad taste in your mouth. I think the one thing with Deshaun Watson, too, he's a lot younger than we think he is. I think he's only 27 or 28 he might not even be that old. He's not. He's definitely right still in his prime.
Yeah.
I think he's 27. And so, again, it's a tough situation. Obviously, it kind of sucks having these guys next to each other because they're really different situations. I mean, they're obviously different situations. Deshaun Watson is.
Well, and to put this in perspective, you have Deshaun Watson ranked as your QB. What is that? 7, 8. Your QB 8.
Yeah.
And like that is, I feel like anything in the top 10, you just need more. I need more. Like I would take honestly Tua. I really like Tua right now. I would take him over Watson.
Well, let's move down to the next category, which is the major red flags, because I think it's an interesting category. I have in that category in order, it's Justin Fields, Tua Tagovailoa, and Kyler Murray. And I think it's not a secret what these major red flags are, right? For Fields, is can he actually be a good quarterback? Like I know where he's a very good or really good fantasy asset. Can he actually be good and make the Bears win?
You can't keep a starting job and get the first overall pick as a QB.
Yeah, exactly. Well, he's going to keep it for now. They traded out of the first, so that's good. But this is really the make or break here. They traded for DJ Moore. They've got Robert Tonyan. It's no longer a situation of oh, he just doesn't have any weapons. It's time for Fields to put up or shut up.
Yeah.
And win the Bears some games. So, and I think we'll agree on that. But while you have him, he is a heck of a fantasy.
He's a monster. He's going to score so many points. Yeah.
So you're going to love that. Tua, it's the health. Now they picked up his 5th-year option. You can only be happy about that if you're a Tua owner.
It's crazy. If it weren't for the concussion injuries, the headaches, all the whatever behind the scenes going on there, if it weren't for that, I think that there's a discussion about Tua being in your top 5. I think he was playing damn near lights out last year. Like fantasy-wise, NFL-wise, the guy was cooking. So I'm interested to see what this season looks like for Tua. I have high expectations.
Yeah, I think with Tua, and maybe I'm mistaken here. I think there just is some talent limitations, even without the concussions. He's short. He's not quick, and maybe he could turn into Drew Brees. That's very possible. Maybe that accuracy just will be super elite. But there's just something about him that seems to kind of cap him a bit, where it's just where some of these other guys just have so much elite characteristics about them. But Tua is a good quarterback, and he's in a very good situation with a lot of very good wide receivers. So, we will see what happens with the concussions. And then Kyler Murray, who I have major concerns about. In fact, the only thing I like about Kyler Murray is the contract. That might be it. I mean, the rushing upside is good. That's a good part, but that's a double-edged sword. Because in Superflex, when your quarterback relies so much, I mean, we just saw it. He's coming back from a torn ACL. Will he be the same? I don't know. Maybe. It ruined RG3's career. So
that's not a fair comp. RG3's knee bent the wrong way. It did this thing 6 times before his career was over. That is not fair.
I get it.
That's not fair.
Here's the deal with Kyler, though. There's the character issues. Everyone who drafted him and developed him is gone in Arizona. There are a lot of legitimate concerns about what kind of quarterback Kyler Murray could be and whether or not the Cardinals are potentially, if things deteriorated more, if they would find a way to move off of him.
So I don't disagree. My story's changing with Kyler, but I don't think it's an ability issue. I don't think it's my problem with Kyler right now is the character stuff. At some point, I just started getting worn down of he's playing too much Call of Duty. He isn't a good captain, in the locker room. He doesn't lead his team well. And at some point for me, that stuff starts to I don't know, I'm disinterested in him. I just feel like long-term football players with character issues in positions of leadership, it's always a disaster. I mean, always messy. look at Deshaun Watson. Like, actually, like, look at Deshaun Watson before the issues, but sitting out a season in Texas because he didn't like his team. That's not like I'm comparing it to that, right? So Kyler, if he doesn't like where his team ends up, I picture him being a guy who would sit out. I don't know. It just he's
Yeah.
a little boy,
I
and
think
until he shows me the characteristics of a leader and like, just a grown ass man, like I think I'm out. But he's super young and he's gotten paid, so
yeah.
I don't know.
I think a better comp than Deshaun Watson's a tough comp for anybody. I think a better comp would probably be Johnny Manziel, but a better athlete. So he like has had more success.
Yeah.
Where both guys just kind of immature, refuse to lock down and do what it takes to be an actual successful NFL quarterback. So Kyler Murray has a chance to change his stars, but it's something to keep in mind. Let's go down to the Roth IRA category, which I think is, I thought that was kind of, for what I mean by that is they are safe. They are consistent. And one of these guys is not intuitively in that category, but I put him there. And that's Dak Prescott, Derek Carr, and then the guy who's not intuitively in there, Russell Wilson.
I would throw, if this were my ranking, I'm throwing Jared Goff in there. And that would kind of complete my, I guess, I'm trying to think. Yeah, that would complete my like, hey, if you are desperate for a QB2 and you're looking to target somebody that won't cost you too much but still might get you 5 years, that's my list. Those four guys, I mean, they're not flashy, they aren't special. If any of them finish in the top 10, you're really excited. But
right.
But shoot, man, they're going to get you, your 10 to 15 points a week, and it's hard to be upset about it. That being said, I think that Russ is a guy that I am growing real interested in. I mean, as time goes on, I can't hide it. Like Sean Payton, Russell Wilson. Sean Payton's not going to unretire to come lose, 11 games with the Broncos. I think he sees something there, and so we might see Russ not return to true form, but he's gonna come back to something.
I agree, and that's why I put him here.
Yeah.
Now the thing with Russ, he is 34, so he's not like he's in that kind of mid-30s category. But one thing we can always say about Russ is he is on that TB12 method. He is on that team 3. He is going to play for as long as he can, and he is going to keep. Yep. He is not Big Ben.
He spends mils on his body a year. Like he is into it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, do I think he's ever going to turn back to 2017 form where he was the QB1? No. But do I think he can be a borderline top 10 guy or even kind of in that low, 6 to 10 range? Maybe. Yeah, totally. He is generally a guy who's had longevity. And even this last year where he was terrible, he finishes the quarterback 16. That's rock solid in that QB2 territory.
Yeah.
So, I like what I see there. With Dak, similar, he's battled some injuries over the years. Obviously, he had that massive one, and then last year to start the season. But again, you way prefer your quarterback to start the season on the injured list than to end the season. So that I'm not that concerned about. And Derek Carr, man, if you go pull up Derek Carr's 9-year career, it looks all the same, man. He is. I think his top finish was 12, and his bottom finish was like 17. And he is just in that category. And I think this is going to be his best situation. I wouldn't be surprised if he got to that 10 range, but like, you just know what you're going to get.
Yeah. I think that Dak Prescott is allergic to success. Not winning, because he does win games, but true success. So his ceiling's limited. Maybe he needs like something traumatic to happen in his life, and then he'll play better. Oh, nope, he played worse.
Oh, I think he's had. Yeah.
Yeah.
His brother committed suicide. Oh my gosh, terrible.
When you say it like that, I feel bad for like making light of it. He has overcome some horrible things, but he's just been super mediocre. And so go trade, a first and a wide receiver to somebody who's really dumb and get Dak Prescott. And then you'll have a super mediocre QB2 and you'll be happy.
Yeah. I mean, Dak is he's really a low end QB1.
Yeah,
is
that's fair.
yeah, yeah.
But we're getting close to like the next couple tiers. There's a lot of guys where if they're your QB2, you have a lot of room for heartbreak coming up next year. Like 2023 has some room for your feelings to get hurt.
Yeah, well, let's get into it. I want to make sure we have time for this prove it category because I think it might be the most interesting category.
Yeah,
I started with Daniel Jones. I was very close to putting Daniel Jones in the back of the major red flags category. I was so close.
So I think I prefer that because he just got paid. The man got paid, so like,
yeah. And
you
so
gotta keep him.
So the reason I kept him here, and again, I could be convinced out of it. Even though it's a 4-year contract, it's a glorified 2-year contract. The Giants can absolutely get out of it at the end of year 2, which means it's not that secure. Like pretty much all these guys have at least 2 years. And so like there's no one in this list on this tier who is a free agent after 2023. And so I think he fits a little bit better in Prove It because even though he got his team to the playoffs, it was pretty clear they overperformed, and so did he. And he still needs to show that he's a good asset. And he wasn't like elite enough like Justin Fields. He finishes like the QB 9 or something like that, where I was like, dude, he's just such an elite fantasy asset that I need to move him up the list. So, yeah. And so just for everyone who doesn't see it, so the Prove It category is Daniel Jones, Jordan Love, Trey Lance, Jared Goff, and Kenny Pickett.
So my first 2 reactions, I already said Jared Goff. He's just too low. I think you got to put him higher. And then Kenny Pickett, I mean, dude, I would have that ball of mediocrity in whatever my bottom tier is. I mean, I'm not saying that the potential isn't there, but like if Mitch Trubisky is taking reps from you, you're doing it wrong. Like,
yeah, I think the Pickett thing. Now, as we get down here, it's sort of tough. I made the tier lists.
They get
in
a little
way
fuzzier.
They're a little fuzzier as you get lower. Where like if I was going to do like a true ranking, I might rank some guys above Kenny Pickett. The thing with Pickett is he is a rookie. He does seem he is getting the keys, and he could be the next quarterback in Pittsburgh. Like he could be the next franchise guy in Pittsburgh, and this year is going to kind of determine a lot of that. He's still on a rookie contract. There's a lot to potentially like in Pittsburgh with Pickett, but I think he's at the back of this tier list. I'll mention Jordan Love. He got the keys to the franchise. They're almost certainly going to pick up his 5th-year option, but that's it. It's do or die time for Jordan Love. I think a similar thing for Trey Lance too is, and I think there's actually a lot more pressure on Trey Lance than there is Jordan Love.
There is, yeah.
Yeah, like the team's in a Super Bowl or bust mode, and if he's going to be the quarterback, he better take them to the Super Bowl.
I don't know if I said it. I don't know if I said it on our last episode or just I don't remember where I said it, but I think that San Francisco's starting QB is going to be determined by who wins them a Super Bowl. If you don't win the Super Bowl, it might be determined by who lost the last game. If you were the starter and you lost that last playoff game, they might move on from you. I think San Fran is as all in as possible, and when it comes to the QB position, they're gonna just keep churning through them until they find somebody who does what they want. So.
Yeah. No, I agree, and it's a tough situation for a young quarterback that you think there's probably a lot of talent there. I threw Jared Goff in the list too, which he's kind of one that doesn't fit as well because I had moved him down. I had moved him to a number of different spots. I thought about the Roth IRA, but this year will do a lot to determine whether or not the Lions stick with Jared Goff or try to go with someone younger and more talented. And so that's why I think Jared Goff kind of belongs in this list is like, look, if you're going to keep doing what you're doing with this Lions offense, we can't move on from you. Like, you just can't. Because I think there were a lot of people who believed that Jared Goff was the bridge quarterback. But after this last year, man, he might be the quarterback of the future.
It's pretty incredible to see him go from like the Rams saying, no, we don't want you, you can't do it, to like going to the Lions and finding a home. Like, he looks good in Detroit. You cannot say that the Lions lost because of offensive issues. Their defense they could have put you or me in at running back against the Lions defense and we're scoring touchdowns. Like,
totally.
They were so pedestrian. But Jared Goff showed up every day. He led his team. He led that offense. I mean, he's a guy that I'm excited to watch. Now, I've seen some dumb trades for him, and I don't agree with that. But he's a guy worth keeping an eye on for sure.
Yeah, he's obviously the oldest quarterback on this tier. And so, I agree. We'll talk a little bit about the rookies ready to go. Bryce Young and CJ Stroud in this next tier. I'm a little bit, dude, I don't love any of these rookies, any of the rookie quarterbacks. I just kind of threw him in this tier for now. I am pretty confident that Bryce Young is going to be going and playing for the Houston Texans, just kind of based on everything that I've seen. I don't think the Panthers are going to draft him, and I do think the Texans will. And then Stroud just being an Ohio State quarterback. So, it bothers me. So, anything on that, Rob?
No, my pre-draft rookie knowledge isn't great. It is tough to focus a whole lot of energy into these guys and their player profiles. And I watched some combine stuff, and I've read some, but the reality is I don't want to assess them too much before I see where they land, right? I want to see where they're going. I want to see the draft capital. Remember last year, there were, 3 quarterbacks that were maybe going to go in the first round, and then they didn't. Last year's QBs, I would argue, are borderline irrelevant. They are career backups. And so I just don't want to risk investing energy and then the NFL being like, psych, we got you. We don't like these guys. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think these two that are in this category are going in the top 5, barring any sort of bizarre situation.
I don't disagree, but
I get what you're saying for sure, though. Let's go down a tier to enjoy while you can, and this is a little bit of a catch-all group, and it's kind of so from left to right. It's Geno Smith, Matt Stafford, Kirk Cousins, Mac Jones, Jimmy Garoppolo, and Aaron Rodgers.
And there's one more.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, and Ryan Tannehill, who, by the way, might not even be the quarterback in Tennessee. I've been seeing some stuff. So, but he's at the back of that list. I think especially these first three guys, frankly, could be a tier of their own. With Geno, Stafford, and Kirk, because I think they're all 3 of them are really good assets. They're quality players. They're just older and not.
The future's unclear.
Commitment. Yeah.
Yeah, future's unclear.
Like while you have them, it's great, but it's just they kind of are what they are, and enjoy them while you have them.
Yeah. I think Mac Jones. I would put him in prove it. I think there's a real possibility that Mac Jones, if he goes out and he balls out this year, that they will make him the guy. But otherwise, like Jimmy G, dude, put him in your QB4. Like, put him at the bottom. Jimmy G's trash.
I don't think you can do that. Jimmy G has, like, when he plays, he is that mid-level quarterback. The problem with Jimmy G is he's a pocket passer that gets hurt a lot. And that's like the worst combination.
Yeah, pocket passer that gets hurt a lot. And he's not like anything special when he passes, man. You get a lot of games with him fantasy-wise where you're like, 4.5 points. Like, I could have started, a backup running back and tried for a touchdown and outscored you. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, Jimmy G is a quarterback 3. He's not a quarterback 4, but he is a quarterback 3. In terms of Mac Jones, the reason I put him down here below the prove it category, I think it is pretty clear that Mac Jones is going to be the 4th best quarterback in the AFC East. And I mean, it's just the situation. I'm very concerned about what's going on in New England, and I'm very concerned of when they underperform again, what's going to happen. So I would be exercising caution with Mac Jones. And then there's Aaron Rodgers. I wanted to make a tier all for Aaron Rodgers that was just Tampa Brady. We don't know how long he's going to play. Assume every year he's going to retire, and if he doesn't, mazel tov.
Yeah.
So that's the deal with Rodgers. I think he's going to have a really good year, but 1 year. And
you can't be banking on 2 from him. If you're shipping 2024 first round picks thinking, I won't need a QB. I've got Rodgers for 2 more years. Stop. You're doing it wrong. Yeah. You're going to be real upset. That being said, if you have Rodgers, let him retire on your team. You won't get better value than if he's playing for you, right?
Probably not. I mean, if you're a rebuilder and wait till mid-season when there's quarterback desperate teams. I totally they make them. Yeah, wait till the desperation and then trade Rodgers. I did that. I had that situation with Brady this last year, and ended up getting a pretty decent trade, if I remember correctly. But let's move down real quick to the project rookies, because there's one guy I really want to mention who's been getting so much hype, and I'm out, at least for now, which is Anthony Richardson. Dude, great. He looks like an elite wide receiver at the combine. Does that mean DK Metcalf should be the next great quarterback? He was bad at Florida. That is a problem. All these Cam Newton comparisons. Cam Newton was one of the best college quarterbacks of all time. This dude could not complete 55% of his throws. I'm concerned for Anthony Richardson. I know he's going to get massive draft capital. I know he is an insane athlete, and that is worth something. But man, at some point you have to actually be good at football. So,
yeah, I think one of the more interesting things I've been reading with the athletic profile is with quarterbacks in particular, you hit a certain point where it's like, okay, this 0.5% better, this 1% better, right? That top end athleticism, is it really benefiting you, or does it just make you look fancy? That being said, I'm not out on Anthony Richardson. Doesn't matter because I don't have the draft picks to get him. But if you have a winning team and you already have your 2 starting QBs, he's my target. That's the kind of guy I want, because his floor and ceiling are both higher, right? So I guess his floor is lower, his ceiling is higher. So if you have the space on your roster to go out, grab a guy like that, let him sit for a year, I love that, because that turns into Cam Newton, and Cam Newton doesn't matter now, but when Cam Newton was doing his thing, he was hot.
Yeah, totally. No, I don't disagree with any of that. If you have the ceiling is ridiculous, and frankly, I would move. What I was thinking about this, I would move this tier above the enjoy while you can tier, because I think that just because the upside of these two guys will love us to a lesser degree, but. It'll start being a lot more clear after the NFL draft. And let's get in real quick to the QB4s before we log off here. These are dudes who are dudes. If I was doing a tier list of these guys, I would have Baker probably a tier above these other guys, maybe Ritter in there too. But they signed Taylor Heineke, so Ritter might not even be the quarterback there. So, yeah, you got Baker Mayfield, Desmond Ritter, Brock Purdy, Gardner Minshew, Jacoby Brissett, Andy Dalton, and Sam Howell.
On a personal note, I love how far apart Trey Lance and Brock Purdy are. I feel respected. I know that I didn't do anything for that other than scream that Trey Lance will be good for 2 years. But, I like to see that.
Yeah, I think with the Purdy thing, I almost wasn't going to include him. I can't imagine he's going to be ready for the season, and that's why he's a backup with upside. So basically, if Trey Lance doesn't work out, he's the next man up mid-season, but you can't put that anywhere above QB4.
Yeah.
So each situation here is different. Ritter is a rookie or is a second-year quarterback who doesn't seem to have very much talent. No one really knows anything about him.
No.
Except, no one seems to believe in him. And I would be included in that. what do I have there? Baker's going to get one more shot with Tampa. Good for him.
Dude, I love it. I'm in on that. I don't think fantasy-wise he has much relevance other than your QB3, right? If he makes it, he's QB3.
Sure.
But as far as NFL storylines go, I want Baker to just go out there and just show the world, man. Go out there and tear it up. Yeah.
Me too. I'm a big fan of that. Minshew, by the way, incredible call. Minshew is in Indianapolis. Now, whether or not he'll be the week 1 starter, that'll really depend on what Indy does in the draft. They're at 4, which is a really awkward spot. And so I'm kind of guessing they're going to get one of those guys who aren't ready to start. And if they get a guy who's not ready to start, it's Minshew mania in Indy for at least a little bit.
It'll be fun. It'll be fun to watch while it lasts, right? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
He gets a shot to go prove it as well. I mean, he may be a Fitzpatrick, but Fitzpatrick's career was super fun. So, like,
it was super fun.
Yeah.
Jacoby signed with the Commanders. He'll compete with Sam Howell.
I don't see like Geno level revitalization, but I could see Jacoby go out and do something. I mean, he had the chance last year, but the Browns are a poverty franchise, and so
he was with the Saints last year.
Who am I thinking of?
Oh no, excuse me, Jacoby. I was looking at Andy Dalton. My fault.
Oh,
Jacoby,
I was like,
yeah. I got what you're saying. My fault, man.
No,
sorry, I'm like staring at Andy Dalton.
Which is gross. Yeah. Don't do that. Like, it's just like an uglier Ryan Steele, and that's just a lot of pain all at once.
That's a good.
Putting Andy Dalton in there in your QBs is sneaky because he is listed in Sleeper as a tight end. He is a tight end.
Andy Dalton? You're thinking of Taysom Hill.
Oh, we're both more morons. All right. Yeah.
So,
this is getting bad.
Yeah, Andy Dalton just signed with the Panthers. He may start some games, but I was doing some research on this. Andy Dalton finishes the QB2 in 2013. How crazy is that?
I mean, the Red Rocket, man.
He had some good years with Cincy.
He did.
And then Sam Howell. Yeah, we'll see with Sam Howell. Maybe Sam Howell should be up the tier list a little bit because at least he has some, at least in front of Andy Dalton, because at least he has some upside.
He's on the Commanders, correct?
Correct.
So here's my thing with the Commanders. Rumor is they might be sold like any minute.
Oh yeah, I think that's happening.
And with the way their team has been run and the assets that they have, and just looking at them as a franchise, I don't want anything other than, and this I own McLaurin. I don't think I want anything but running backs. That's it. This is a no touch them until they prove competence, because we could be going into a real dark season for the Commanders. I think that there is real possibility that they are the new Texans for the next half a decade. So
I totally agree. And when I said move them up, I meant like move them in front of Andy Dalton and Jacoby Brissett. I did not mean like moving into like prove it category. You know, it's just not even kind of. But yeah, anyway, guys, that's the tier list. I'm glad. Again, I'm interested in. I think probably the most interesting thing is the Trevor Lawrence disagreement. That'll be a theme.
I'm not
for
saying
the rest
he doesn't. It'll be a theme forever. I'm not saying I don't think that. I think that he has the potential to be what you have him ranked as, but putting him above guys like Lamar Jackson is disrespectful because Lamar Jackson's proven it. Trevor Lawrence hasn't proven anything yet. I mean, you have him ranked above Jalen Hurts, which I feel like you did just to get at me, which is fair because it worked. It was annoying. But man, your top 10 just needs some work, and that's okay. At some point, you'll figure out the recipe to winning fantasy football games, and your top 10 will adjust with it. Like it'll be what it be.
I do have a question. What were you doing in 2019?
What do you mean?
2019 was a year before I started dating my wife of almost 2 years, and that is the last time Lamar Jackson was an elite fantasy option.
Yeah. If I had Sleeper open, I'd pull it up to try and challenge that. But thinking back, I did have him in 20. What year did Jason get married? What year was
2021.
that? I had him in 2021. I took him in the second round, I think. No, I had him in 2020. I had him the year before because I wasn't commissioner of the league yet. And it was disappointing. But, dude, I mean, Lamar Jackson's ceiling is just so incredible. Like,
2019 only gets farther and farther away.
yeah.
At some point you have to do it again.
Also, that was a rough conversation. Like, just thinking, 2019, it was a couple years ago. No, it's 4. That is
4 years. 4 years ago.
Oh.
So anyway, I don't. Again, I still think Lamar's very good. He just needs to do it again at some point before I can continue to rank him. But anyway, guys, that is it for the Dynasty Dudes podcast. We'll probably do another one of these coming up with running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends because that's kind of what we need to do. And, you guys have an awesome day.